optimizing disease prediction with artificial intelligence-driven feature selection and attention networks.
That new model may be on the LMSys or some other leaderboard right now.
That data could be used to determine your level of insurance.
All these companies have to be careful about this. I get it that it's a bit of a race to the bottom. If you say agents, you're going to get it. You're going to get attention.
It can do what a human can do in manufacturing.
Today is Thursday, 8/8, and it's Thursday, which means we don't typically do the news, but actually today we are going to be doing the news because yesterday we got a chance to celebrate our 1-year anniversary. Hopefully you checked that out. If you didn't, I highly recommend you going back and checking out yesterday's episode. It was nice, not just retrospective, but Andy, you did a great job, as well as Aaron and Jyunmi and others, pulling out some of their favorite episodes over the last, I think it was 263 or 262 at that time. I think yesterday was 3, so 264 today. So go check that out if you will. So what we did is, this is the first time we've ever done this. We bumped our news, our typical, what has happened in the last 7 days. We bumped that one day, which actually I think is going to work out this week, because weirdly, there's been some news that probably would not have been caught yesterday. That came out yesterday. There was some trolling, as Karl was pointing out, from Sam Altman about strawberries. We'll get into that. Mistral just put out some amazing information. I think, Beth, you were sharing that in Slack, and I was seeing that come across the interwebs as well. We do have Beth, Jyunmi, I'm Brian. We have Karl, and we also have Andy today. I don't know, Karl, do you want to kind of kick things off with the Sam Altman post? Because you were the first person I saw that on Slack yesterday, and maybe just kind of give a roundabout about what that means.
Essentially, what happened was, I'm going to share my screen here for a bit. Hopefully it doesn't cut out. So yesterday, can't remember when, it was on X, and the post from I Rule the World MO, we don't know who that is. The conspiracy theory that it is AGI, just trolling everybody. And then another conspiracy that it is Sam Altman, but it's his avatar, and he's already created his own clone to do that. Another one is it's used as a test too for AGI. I don't know. There's a lot of things, but anyway, welcome to level 2. In this person's profile has strawberries in it.
Okay, so I'll pick up the story. This one of the theories about this. So this is Sam Altman's. Yes. So this is Mystery Science Theater 3000. Here we go. So this is Sam's posting the picture of his strawberries. Strawberry is supposedly the code name for what we were talking about as Q star before, and just to keep that relevant for people, that happened around the same time that Sam was removed and then brought back. So the fact that other OpenAI employees have left or taken leave of absence is feeding into this as well. So as they're showing, as Karl's showing on the screen, the Twitter did what Twitter does, X did what X does, and all the tech bros are jumping on, either implying that they have information or just jumping on the strawberry train, because that's what social media does. One point about this is that there during an interview long ago, there was a story about Elon Musk being concerned about AI superintelligence, ASI, and that could lead to problems, which is why he wanted to colonize Mars, or at least have that ability, so that could be like a second option, right? Yeah, a refuge. And the example that he was giving, and I believe it was a conversation with one of the other CEOs now. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering whether it was... I'm not remembering which one it was, because they're all so many names. Anyway, he said it would be like it has a goal to grow strawberries, and then that's all it does. And so all the resources, it's kind of the idea. We talk about it as the paperclip idea, right? It's just gonna optimize making paper clips, and humanity is not going to be considered. Same idea for strawberries. So part of this is potentially that this is actually a troll.
All right, let's follow the money. Here's some interesting news this week about where investment is going. And this is against the background context of a lot of chatter, let's say, in media around AI, concerned about the enormous investments that are being made by companies like OpenAI, NVIDIA, et cetera, into AI without a clear and near-term response that is a return on investment. And when I say response, I mean, okay, these capabilities are being increased through, investments in training and compute, and all of that should be translating into more and more money being spent by the general economy on those AI products. Well, that hasn't moved sufficiently to justify the level of investment. But nonetheless, there's some enormous investments where, you can argue that the players behind them have a logic for how they're going to get a return on such investment. First one I want to talk about is a 50 million Series B. Remember that, a Series B means that they've already had a major investment in a Series A, and now they're showing enough proof that they're getting a tranche of money from their investors. In this case, the company is receiving $50 million in its Series B. It's called Mechanical Orchard, and Google Ventures is the lead investor. What do they do? Well, this is a very interesting application. They have an AI system that looks at an enterprise's complex legacy systems, all of the integrations that have been done over years, matching different iterations of component systems in the system stack. And it looks at that and it figures out a way to rebuild that into a modern cloud-hosted application suite with services using AI. So it's basically reverse engineering what's happening in your enterprise right now into a cloud-based copy of those existing systems and delivering working software in real time into the production environment as it makes that migration. So it's a migration of a system managed by AI into a more modern, higher speed, higher quality, and higher safety and security system. And Google Ventures is saying, wow, Mechanical Orchard has shown a proof of concept in effect with their Series A. And they're putting $50 million behind this. This is the promise of really sophisticated AI systems that can actually go in and understand. Whereas we're working on little, automations within the complex workflows of an enterprise, this is a system that goes in and kind of redoes the whole thing. Fascinating. The next one is in the defense sector. There's a company called Anduril that most of you may not have heard of, but Anduril was founded by Palmer Luckey, who was the founder of Oculus, and which was the company that Meta bought in order to pursue their VR interests. So Palmer Luckey had a very successful exit to Meta, and then he became the founder of this company, Anduril, which develops autonomous systems for warfare. And the Series F that they're receiving this week is $1.5 billion. So the products that they produce include, their AI platform for managing the complex data that's coming from the war fighting and provides situational awareness. And they also have developed their drone system that's managed by that data analysis called Ghost 4. Which is an automated surveillance aircraft capable of real-time data processing and threat detection. Okay, so they're also going to build a 5 million square foot manufacturing facility with this round to hyperscale their defense manufacturing. So big money coming from some major players who are very smart about AI in areas where they see a clear return on investment.
So to add on that, and I wonder if anybody else has context, as I didn't really prep this, OpenAI invested in webcams. Like, invested $60 million in webcam tech. And I'm just curious, like, all of those made a bunch of sense. And I'm not sure if they were just looking for a camera tech. Yeah, Jyunmi.
Yeah. So what the theories are right now is this investment plus Sam Altman's personal investment, about a year ago into AI powered or hardware for to be powered by AI. The thinking is that OpenAI is prepping for a device, whether they directly come out with it or it's built by someone else and OpenAI's models power it, right? A webcam makes perfect sense if you want those optical and video capabilities, particularly since all the major models for OpenAI, like 4.0, includes vision. And their plans for their other models. So they would definitely want a source of camera tech so they could take advantage of the vision capabilities of the model. So a lot of puzzle pieces seem to be coming together, and so there's some future sight and predictions and things like that. If right now it's just at the investment level, I don't think we're going to see that hardware anytime soon. Time is very different in the AI world that we've all come to realize. But there seems to be a lot of hints or clues into that direction.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of, Facebook, Meta back in the day or whatever. And as they invested into some technology now, of course, we know, things like Oculus, and we know big things that they've invested or bought into and things like that. But if you remember early days, sometimes it was as basic as now there's a Facebook button on a phone. They would partner with a phone like a Nokia or something like that. There would be a blue Facebook button, right? And of course, those kind of things don't necessarily pan out. But I definitely think it makes sense. For instance, I don't know what all cameras we use, to be honest, but I've been using a Lumina camera, which, I mean, for my money, I used to use a DSLR, but that came with problems and native issues and things like that. It was a great image. The people who use mirrorless cameras tend to have like the best image on there. But in my opinion, there is a huge gap in the market for really, really good webcam technology. That doesn't mean that's what OpenAI is doing, but I absolutely could see them having like dual cameras and being able to do some stuff with spatial analysis that the models are capable of interacting with, especially if we get into things like being able to replace mouse with different languages or different voices, or do things that Descript can do today. Just think about if you had a Descript and you added to that a really synonymous technology piece to it with maybe a dual camera, there's probably a lot of ways that can go. And truthfully, we've been sort of missing this, in my opinion, really since COVID. Honestly, I expected to see a lot more of this because so many more businesses are on Zoom. And honestly, I didn't really see the webcam industry go in that direction, except for things like Lumina, which kind of took that mantle. So I'm excited about that. That totally makes sense to me because, like you were saying, Jyunmi, there seems to be a very easy marriage there between what they would want to do with vision capabilities. And if you just kind of look at what's out there, like everything in AI, you can usually piece together 2, 3, 4 different parts to it and go, oh, okay, I could see if they got into that area, why this might be a great collaboration with maybe a company like Illumina, or maybe they're going to come right out of the gate with an actual hardware. And we've heard rumblings about that. They're going to come out with a phone. They're going to come out, they have chief designers from here and there or whatever. We'll have to see. I think, Meta has shown that is a tough area to get into when you get into physical hardware. They've obviously been successful now for quite some time, but they weren't always. There was a lot of swing and misses. So we'll have to see. I don't think OpenAI is immune to that either.
OpenAI is also wanting to overcome questions about its sustainability economically. I mean, it's requiring a huge amount of money from investors and is making a lot of money, and its ramp is looking good, but they'll need to add a bunch of different product extensions, and hardware may be one of them. Many of the AI systems are, let's say, markets are looking for a combination of hardware like this fascinating little piece here that goes as a companion to the LLMs that they're building. And you can see how wanting to penetrate the workspace, OpenAI and enterprise may want to have a webcam technology that integrates seamlessly with their services and creates a stickiness. Like if you're using the OpenAI enabled webcam system, then, you're not as likely to jump over to Claude because you're getting some features and functions that are happening with the webcam system. So it's a strategy, I think, that could, work for them over the course of time. And it's a very small investment. I think it was something on the order of 60 million that they put into this webcam system. I want to jump back, by the way, on OpenAI to what Karl was saying, which you couldn't hear. But one of the things that he was saying, I'm sure, was that at the same time as all of this teasing is happening around Strawberry, which is the Q-star technology of self-learning advancement of reasoning in an OpenAI model, that new model may be on the LMSys or some other leaderboard right now as it's got some anonymous chatbot name, right? So
that's the exact name, anonymous chatbot. That's the name of it.
Right. And that anonymous chatbot, which has been released into the arena, and that arena is a competition where you put your query into the arena, and you get 2 answers. You then have to score those 2 answers. And you don't know which one is which. So you just score the 2 answers, and then that's how they rate which of the models is leading. And apparently anonymous chatbot has already topped this arena leaderboard for reasoning. So it may well be the Strawberry-based, advanced reasoning model from OpenAI.
And I just threw that up on the screen while you were talking about it, Andy. So that's arena.lmsys.org. And you can kind of play around with it. You don't know what you're going to get. I imagine it's random. So after you, in this case, I just threw, you could literally throw in like a random image that it will throw in for you. And you can see, here's my prompt right here. And then it runs model A and model B. After you decide which one you like better, then it will reveal what those models were. So you can play around with this, and you may see that anonymous chatbot on there, but it is pretty random, and I don't know how many iterations you would have to go through before you may or may not see it. And of course, it may already not be on there. So it really is hit or miss. You really have to have the kind of time to just kind of play around with this. I also would recommend having what you would consider to be a good reasoning prompt, not like basic like mine, so that if in case it did show up, you were able to actually see a difference between the 2 models. I mean, if you don't do that, then you may not be able to tell the difference regardless if it's a super basic prompt. But if you want to mess with it, you can see it up, or you can. It's not showing on my screen, but it's arena.lmsys.org if you would like to play around with that. I do want to jump over to another quick story, and I'm going to share this tab instead since I already have my screen up, and that is from Mistral, who announced yesterday, and this is one of those news stories that I don't know that would have necessarily made the news yesterday, may not have been up in time, but that company's out of France, and they came out with basically 2 sort of correlated updates, simpler, more efficient model customization. You can use base prompt, few shot prompting, or fine tuning, and you can bring your own data set. Crucially, model customization follows the techniques developed by the Mistral AI science team for making strong reference models, so you can expect a similar performance from your fine-tuned models. This is directly off the website if you're not happening to look at us right now. And then the second part here was alpha release of agents. It says we're also introducing an early version of agents that wraps models with additional contents and instruction for exposure on the LeChat or API. Agents help you create custom behavior and workflows with a simple set of instructions and examples. With advanced reasoning capabilities in Mistral Large 2, you can layer on increasingly complex workflows with multiple agents that are easy to share with your organization. We're working on connecting agent to tools and data sources that are looking forward to getting your feedback. So I think this is really important, and this is something we'll continue to see. which is some of these other companies not necessarily trying to repeat or give you exactly what maybe a custom GPT is. They're really coming out and showing that there's other options for businesses that perhaps don't want to go the Meta or Google or OpenAI route. You have some other options here like Mistral, which continues to impress people. If you're looking to, fine tune, I don't know if it's necessarily the right word. If you're trying to just tune it a little bit on your data set and use the power of having an LLM plus having something that can maybe do vector database RAG, that kind of thing, I think that's really, really interesting. The one thing I do want to point out and get your guys' opinion on is the use of the term agents. And I think all these companies have to be careful about this. I get it that it's a bit of a race to the bottom. If you say agents, you're going to get it. You're going to get attention. If we title tomorrow's show, the most advanced AI agents, I could pretty much tell you that it's going to get a bump in viewership. It'll be a little bit inflated because we use the term agents. And the reality is people know, I think, what most people know is that, oh, that's an advanced form of AI. That's a autonomous or step back, hands off something AI. But just like what we saw early on with some of the other terms, whatever it might have been, we're starting to see this term agents, and they're not all talking about the same thing. What Mistral means by agents is not necessarily what OpenAI means by agents, and so on and so forth, which can get really confusing for the customer when they do in fact show up, because then it's like, okay, well, whose version of agent showed up? And maybe this is another show, to be honest, like all we know about agents, we'll make it the buzzwordy title, Jyunmi. But I just wanted to bring that up and see what you guys thought too, because we are definitely seeing this buzzword hit more and more. The problem with it is again, there's no single definition of really what that means. And so it really is dependent on who's using it and what they define.
I'm glad you brought that up, Brian, because when I looked at the Mistral announcement and read the same pages that you're looking at and saw the use of the term agent there, I felt like it was a translation issue between French and English, because they're really using the term in the context that OpenAI terms an assistant, right? So on the OpenAI platform, you have an assistant that you create. If you're on Mistral, the term is going to be agent, but it's not really an autonomous goal-seeking agent.
Yeah, well said. That's exactly the way I looked at it. Anybody else see the same?
Exactly. I have heard so many things labeled agent, I now automatically assume they aren't. Right. I mean, I got brought. I first heard it from Agent.ai. It's all supposed agents. Agents AI is supposed to be about agents, not agents yet.
I want to bring up Justin before we move on from Mistral. I want to bring up Justin's comment. I love Mistral's release strategy. They just silently drop updates with no pre-hype, just solid product releases ready for the public to use. Other AI companies take note. Looking at you, OpenAI. Yeah, I like that, Justin. Good comment on that one, and good point out. Yeah, sometimes Mistral is like a buried tweet, and it's not a small release. But they know the people who are going to pick that up are watching. And so it's perfect for them because they can really, really do something that's as simple as a tweet that's like, oh, by the way, we just kind of dropped this thing. You're like, well, that's kind of huge. And it is going to be picked up. And then the hype train will carry itself from there. So they're in this really great sweet spot. I think it was a great call out, Justin. They don't have to play the rules of OpenAI. They can continue to do what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a great counter strategy. The hype cycle's been built around OpenAI and Microsoft and Google, and they work in that way. So Mistral's campaign is just the opposite. It's the counter strategy. So now, of course, it gets picked up by the hype cycle, like you said. Now, I have one story, and I'm really, really excited about it. And so I want to talk about it.
That's so great because you never get excited.
I know.
You're so dead.
No, so this is new, right? Okay. So, new research paper dropped titled Optimizing Disease Prediction with Artificial Intelligence Driven Feature Selection and Attention Networks. All right. Like most research papers, that seems pretty bland. But the key words there are optimizing disease prediction. All right. So this is one of those AI for good, AI in the medical field kind of stories. So essentially, what this research paper has announced or talked about is they've created a new model that will take electronic health records, or EHR, we've talked about that in the past, and combine various features with an algorithm they came up with their attention net they came up with, and in that ensemble model have created a 95% accurate disease prediction model. That's huge. I mean, it's 95%. That blows out every other, prediction, right? For
every other doctor prediction. Every other doctor. Yeah.
Exactly. And and there's another testing methodology called F1 score that it's a traditional prediction method, but I don't know too much detail about that. But that's at 94%. All right. So if we're talking about practical applications, early detection, right? Which is incredibly important for near terminal or terminal type diseases, cancer, Alzheimer's. There are treatments that if you can find it early enough, you can take care of it, right? You can mitigate it, you can cure it, you can monitor it, all of those kinds of things. So yes, when I read this, I'm like, oh man, there's so much hope here. Let's see it in practice. They can use this to create more personalized healthcare. So every person is different. So all the medicine out there and whatnot, it's not 100% use case, or a solve for everybody. Everybody's body does react differently. But when you can take all of this data about a particular person, then you can tweak whatever the treatments are so that it maximizes or optimizes the treatment for them. So that's huge. And efficiency, and I've said before, like in scientific, circles, science is boring and tedious because you got to test after test after test. This makes that testing so much more efficient. So we can have quicker treatments, more targeted treatments, and we can detect it early. 95% accuracy. And that is amazing to me. So that was just the one story I want to cover today.
I saw that.
Everything's great, but it seems huge to me. Sorry.
I want to add a couple of points to that one, please. One is that it's not so much about earlier detection. It's about predicting the onset of diseases before they manifest clinically, before there's anything to detect. That's the magic of this one, I think, in addition to, it's obviously going to be much more sophisticated in examining the electronic health record, in identifying that, this combination of factors says that this little signal here that probably doesn't rise above the threshold of detection is an early indicator, and we're going to get it even earlier. So I do think it will lead to early detection. But it's really more about, hey, given the electronic health record history that's accumulating from multiple doctors' offices, if that can be combined into an analytics program that's doing prediction, that it'll tell me, look, you're at highest risk for these things, and you need to do interventions now, even before you have any evidence that, like my current doctor, I say, let me get a prescription for this because I've heard that it's good for me. He said, no, not until you're diseased with it. We're not going to give you something in advance. Well, this allows for wellness care, which is based on predictive requirements rather than simply trying to intervene when the disease is already inflamed. Let me talk just quickly about electronic health records. I was involved in a project long ago, which was trying to assist doctors in the sharing of these new electronic health records. But HIPAA regulations and other privacy regulations made it so that the only way that you could actually legally send the electronic record to another doctor's office was via fax, because fax was already qualified in that system. So we built a system that would actually take electronic health records, turn them into a fax, send them over to the other one, and hopefully on the other end, they'd be able to figure out how to use that fax. It was a complex process to get electronic health records into use by doctors. Remember, it used to be walking to the doctor's office, there's walls of file folders, and all of those file folders are all the written records that are there, handwritten notes and typed up notes with the assistants. Now, much of that is going online, and AI will assist us in doing much, much better healthcare overall.
And the last thing I want to add to that really quick is that, this is all great, but it's worth mentioning that we will have to come up with ways as a society, not just the United States, but in Canada and all other countries, to make this accessible. Because what's going to happen with this is that it's going to require more data. What does more data look like? Well, if you want to see progression and track and catch these things over time, that may be something as simple as a full blood workup, let's say every quarter. Well, I can tell you even right now, that costs me money out of pocket because my insurance isn't going to just be okay with me doing these blood samples, right? These blood tests or whatever, in order to get these markers. That comes out of pocket, and it's not cheap. Even with companies that used to be around like Wellness FX, it costs money. So how are we going to make this? This is great, but also how are we going to make this accessible? And I think the trickle down from here is that also how are we going to come up with a system that enables us to capture more data more frequently over time for people, so that these changes in markers, biomarkers, and things like that can be picked up and predicted probably long before the disease states would typically be identified. And then we can put that data easily with AI into the hands of a doctor, so that if a doctor really does only have 3 minutes between the transition of the last patient to you, they can get this very quick dossier, or this AI summary that is 100% tailored to you, and actually makes your time with the doctor more valuable than just flipping through the chart and saying, I see here that you were here 6 months ago, and all that wasted BS time that goes on right now. So just wanted to throw that out there, that this is really, really going, like a lot of things with AI, it's the haves and have-nots. Who has it? Who's going to have access? And that's going to, unfortunately, directly affect lives and people who live and people who die, because people with more money are going to be able to get the data, which means they're going to be able to use the AI systems and pay for it outright. And people without are simply not going to catch it early enough. So just want to bring that up.
Would you think, though, too, that that data could be used to determine your level of insurance? Because now the companies will be like, wait, you have a more like a 99% probability based on this that you will have this type of disease or these diseases, which means we're going to increase your insurance because of these reasons. So
they do that already.
Oh, I know they do that, but this takes it even more, right?
Yeah, this makes it highly personalized.
Now it's highly personalized too. So that'd be, because there's no way you can get this level of detail, or will get this level of detail to the point where like, oh, we can foresee in the next 20 years, 10 years, even 5 years, these are the things you're probably going to get. So we're just going to increase your premiums because X reason, X reason, X reason.
So Canadian co-host with Universal Healthcare scares the bejesus out of the 4 U.S.
Yeah, I'm just pointing that out. With me, with Universal Healthcare, it makes no difference. But for those who don't, I
don't know. Maybe if you're concerned about the welfare of your citizens, you invest into the welfare of your citizens. Okay, I'll leave that soapbox.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, we could all, and stepping off the soapbox. I know we're pushing time here. Do we? I don't know that we've even necessarily got to everybody. Beth, have you been able to share any news stories?
No, and I just want to highlight Figure. It was teased the week before, but this week it really came out. Figure AI as a robotics company. They released Figure.2. It is, it's being tested for manufacturing in a BMW plant. It's a humanoid robot, right? It walks, it has dexterity in its hands. It's that kind of size. But what I think is kind of being missed in this piece of like, it can do what a human can do in manufacturing, right? Like it's a human form factor, in the capability, it is kind of like a GPT-3 to GPT-4 kind of leap. It really is a much bigger leap. And I think, like we're in the bubble, and so we can sort of see when AI takes that leap. The bubble for robotics is much smaller. And so I just want to highlight that is also happening. And like, yeah, I mean, we may have humanoid robots walking down the streets in 20 years, right?
Thinking out Karl's trash. That's the big thing. Dishes and trash.
That was the thing. The only thing that I'm ever concerned about is, can it reach under this drawer, take out the recycling, walk down the stairs, go out the door, go up the stairs, open the gate, put this in without spilling anything and without falling over? Because if you spill anything, fall over, destroy something, you're useless to me. Literally, I cannot do anything because I have to pick it up. And if you take longer than like 10 minutes, again, useless to me.
I love this. I love that it always comes back to this use case with you, Karl. I love that it always comes back to this. Like, there's all these major world things that robots could do. And Karl's like, listen, if you can't do this one task at my house, stairs and all, useless figure. Stop what you're doing.
Because I think if you can do that specific activity without dropping anything, then I think you have solved robotics for everybody. Everybody's going to buy that. I don't care if you can build cars from terror. If you can do that, I guarantee so many people are like, yeah, take my $50,000, $100,000, because if it can take my recycling out, my trash out, pick up stuff, fantastic.
Okay, like there are people who live around you who will take your trash out for $100,000.
I want the robot.
But also, I feel like Brett, really good job in Brett Adcock is the head of Figure. Really good job with the BMW thing, but we can put your robot to the actual test. So reach out. Thanks.
I threw up some of the comments in there as well. I love the comments from the group where Saves This Go. It's got the recycling labels up there or whatever. This is right up there with Thumper to me. Like, when Thumper comes up into the conversation with Karl, as soon as we talk about robots, I'm like, Karl is only thinking about one thing right now, and it's the recycling at his house. So I just love that. I love that it comes back to this simple yet complex set of tasks that robots need to, to become Rosie from the Jetsons in all of our lives. Okay, do we, any other last minute stories? Going once, going twice, anything we missed?
One tiny one.
Go for
it. The applied AI space, right? We see a lot of development of AI. We haven't seen a lot of the applied use cases, and Karl's robot is definitely one of those things. But Kayla Systems makes water heaters. They have now created a heat pump type water heater that has applied AI built into it. Costs a little bit more than other types of water heaters. But since 20% of American household usage, energy usage, is through their water heater systems, the existing ones, they're able to get a 30% more efficiency out of it because of this AI module, which takes in all of the data for your, like, how many people in your household, what's the average usage, and all those kinds of things. But I think in the applied AI space, that is a perfect example. Alrighty.
Love it. Okay, we'll end it there. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about, is training your own LLM worth the risk? So we sort of dabbled and touched a little bit on that in today's show, just a little bit. But we talk about this quite a lot. So we're going to be talking about that on tomorrow's show. And then I know we don't have it all set up yet, but I know we have quite a few great topics coming up for next week already once we put those together. So don't forget to go over to thedailyAIshow.com. Sign up for our newsletter. If you like what we're doing on the show, then I highly recommend you sign up for the newsletter. Why am I saying that? Because in the newsletter, we go a little bit beyond. So if you enjoy this already, if you want an easy Sunday read where we talk about some of these topics, we go a little bit deeper. We talk about the things that happen after the show. Yesterday, Aaron talked about a lot of times we go dark, meaning we're not live anymore, but our conversation often continues, the however many of us are here. And so we wanted a way to be able to share that without just being live forever every day until we're done talking. And the newsletter is a great way to do that. So you can go to thedailyishow.com and sign up for that newsletter. Like I said, highly recommend it. And also, look, we also know that probably 80% of our viewers on YouTube and other places are first-time viewers. So don't forget, this is episode 264. We passed our 1-year anniversary yesterday. And, subscribing is obviously the fastest way to make sure you get all the newest episodes. But also, we're here every day at 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, having another live show. And as you can see at the top of the show, they don't all go swimmingly, but we always make it through and we always have a smile on our face and have a good time. So keep on coming back and hanging out with us. We love it. We love the comments. Thank you, everybody, today in the comments. There's tons of them. And we will be back tomorrow to talk about training your own LLM. Until then, guys, have a great day.
Aloha.